Hello and welcome to today's episode of Being Spursy. On today's episode, a shaky start for the trio of Bale, Son and Kane, Dyer and Toby, a solution for our defense. All this and more on today's show of Being Spursy. I'm your host with the most, Prithvi, and along with me, I've got Palash and Pratik. Hi, guys.
Hello everyone.
Hey Prithvi.
Yeah, man. So, what do you guys think about the whole match yesterday against West Bromwich Albion?
Mm, I'll start with it. It was a cagey affair. We were not, of course, very fluid. We had like some half chances, like one Bale stance in the first half, Regulon's shot, and Son's miss was the worst in the first half. So, but even these guys had a lot of chances. These guys hit the bar, hit the post in the second half, and could have we could have been a goal down, before we scored the winner at the end. But it wasn't very open game. It was half chances, and we somehow edged it. So that's what I could conclude. That's what my summary of the match is.
Yeah, I agree with Pratik. Um, it was hard to tell, dude. Honestly, until we scored, you always get that feeling being a Spurs fan that you know what, if we're not scoring, then there's a very good chance that we might concede closer to the 90th minute, and then end up dropping the points, end up not taking the chance to go to the top. But thankfully, we were able to pull a Spurs on ourselves and managed to get the game through. But yeah, I think we seemed a little lethargic, at least in attack, because the Son chance that Pratik was talking about is more often than not a goal, especially when it falls to a player of Son's class and the things we've seen him do over this season, the season prior to that, that the chance is something that he puts away with his eyes closed. So he particularly seemed a little slow and lethargic yesterday. Kane kept doing what he was doing. I think Kane's work rate's always been good. He seemed all right yesterday. I think Bale, I'm not sure if Mourinho is using him incorrectly or if Bale is taking a while to get used to the entire system or the Premier League in general, but he doesn't seem to be getting a lot of touches. And uh, and Bale, thrives on touches. A lot of his goals are with the ball in his feet and not through brilliant movement inside the box or getting on the edge of crosses and all of that. At least in the past, a lot of his goals have come through his feet. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think once they settle in, our attack should look a lot better. But I'm just happy that we were able to get the 3 points. End of the day, that's what matters. And in end of the season, we would have remembered this game had we lost it, but we won't remember it now that we won it.
Well, overall, if you see the whole Bale, Son, Kane trio, I mean, this is just the preliminary stages, and that was the first match that they started together. Um, I think that they would require some more time. I mean, the way they played, it looked really shaky. Uh, and to top it off, the whole Kane goal came into the picture only after Vinicius came in for, I think. Doherty or the other guy who? No, Doherty was the guy who crossed. Sorry, uh, Reguilon only got substituted, I think, and we got Vinicius in, and that's how there was more of a dynamic approach towards the attack, and that's how Kane got the chance in the first place. And I think we can do better. It's not that we've done our best or anything. We can do way better, but there's still a long way to go, guys. Like the league is a long predicament actually. So what do you think about the whole Dyer and Toby dynamic? I mean, do you think that actually works? Because so far the two clean sheets have actually come under their kitty. So what do you guys think, Palash?
I think it's a little early to tell. To be honest, the West Brom attack didn't really seem too threatening. Once we play the bigger teams, right, upcoming weeks, we have a lot of big games lined up. I think that is when we will really be able to tell if Toby and Dyer together are trustworthy.
Mhm.
Pulling out a clean sheet against a team like West Brom, which already struggles to score, is not a huge achievement. Obviously, we're more of a system team, right? Every single Mourinho team is a system team where everybody has to defend. You have to maintain that defensive structure and so on and so forth. So I don't know if the result, which is the clean sheet, was a result of Toby and Dyer per se, or a result of the system. So we need to see more consistent performances to be able to take a call. But I'm happy we got the clean sheet, and the two names under our centre backs were Toby and Dyer. So I think it gives Spurs fans a little bit of confidence, at least with respect to Dyer's performance. Right, over the last so many seasons, he's been the guy who makes that error which leads to us dropping points, or which leads to costing us games.
Yeah,
So I'm happy we finally found a couple of people who we can, at least in the short term, try and experiment and see how the defense responds with these two at the back. But I think it's too early to tell about whether they are the solution to our defensive woes. So I think we need to wait until another few weeks, until we play the bigger teams, see how our defense responds, and then take a call about whether or not we want to stick with this partnership.
that makes sense. What about you, Pratik?
Like what I feel is that Sanchez has somehow lost the confidence of Mourinho after that West Ham fiasco, and we haven't seen him starting in the league after that, and he's our like the fastest defender which we have. So obviously, when you remove him out of the team, you have got Dyer, and Dyer who's like the kind of the favorite of Jose. He wants like liked him from years when Jose was at United, and Toby is our most experienced defender whom we have given big contract at when he's 30. So these guys are naturally our first choice when you look at all the parameters, and so like it makes sense to start with them, and they have been doing well. Like one thing good about both of them is like they are very physical, and they dominate well in there. If even if you remember the Dyer's clearance at the goal line, that was also very crucial. And they are a threat from set pieces, and they are good passers too. So that's very good about them. But one major drawback is the lack of space. So we can't play high line when we have these two as the center back pairing.
Yeah,
So
the
this
lack
is
of pace is a huge deal actually in within our team as of now in general, and I think uh, like you said, the lack of pace is what is the only reason Sanchez was being selected probably. But do you think that that will help our team? Like the whole keeping the line a little towards the goal rather than much forward because these people can't manage the pace.
yeah, it is it is like a trade off. Okay, if we play high line, then we can press the opponents better. But if we don't play a high line, we have to wait for the mistakes, and make use of set pieces because we won't be able to press that well. So it's a trade off. We'll have to play the system according to the opponent. In this game, it turned out well. Probably in a different game, with a better attack against a better attack, they would have finished some of the chances, the half chances which they got. So it's a risk we have to take, based on situations. Somehow, like yesterday we came out on top. Some days we won't. So it will depend on the opposition. Probably Sanchez, hopefully works hard in the training, works with Jose and sorts out his individual errors because that's what's causing. He has got a lot of raw potential. His physicality is top notch, his pace is amazing, but he's like Dyer of 4 5 years back. Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Dyer was a midfielder back then, so we can't really compare them. But yeah, it's a very astute observation, though. On another note, what about the whole Regulon performance? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Okay, that's a very interesting question because I felt he was, he was in his elements, in his natural things, in the natural things which he is good at, like his explosive pace, his crossing, having some shots at the goal. and making runs. He was very good at that, but he was also dominated very like physically a lot. He was
Mhm.
like sometimes he appeared like a kid amongst men because of the physicality. So
Okay.
if like that's one thing which we saw in like that's one thing which obviously if you're bulky you can't always have the biggest space, and also that's a trade-off which we'll have to accept.
Mhm.
In such cases probably he needs more protection, or he needs to maybe sit back a bit. So these things are there, but that was one flaw which I could feel, one noticeable thing which I saw in the game.
Because on an overall note, you would see that Doherty was the one who got the successful cross. But I think performance-wise, I felt Reguilon was a tad bit better. You know, what
Yeah,
about
he,
you, Pallash?
yeah, I think every single game I've seen Region play on offense, he's been a lot better than any fullback we've had over the last few seasons. At least I can't recall. Do you guys recall any fullback we've had in the past who's been this good at setting up his teammates, putting balls in, just threatening on offense? Because I can't. Honestly, Danny Rose used to try, but he wasn't as good a crosser as Region is. Um, Defensively, yeah, there is some sort of liability there because he's a smaller guy, right, physically. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
see the wingers in the Premier League, you see people like Traore who can just push him off with like one hand very easily. So that's a small problem, but he's got his pace. He can stick with any attacker, to be honest. At least foot to foot, he's got his pace. Um, and I think offensively, he's a huge weapon for us on the left. He's what we wish Ben Davies could be when it comes to putting crosses in,
That's
and
true.
he seems to be doing very well, at least on the offensive side of the ball, because every time he's got the ball, I expect a really good cross to go into the box, at least a half chance or a quarter chance created there. And to be honest, watching people like Aurier crossing the ball, I feel like we've gotten a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
This guy is gold standard compared to Ori.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. But
That's true.
you know what? Honestly, I like Matt Doherty, but I don't know if he's that big an upgrade on Aurier, to be honest. I think Aurier, he's a lot more electric. He can do a lot more than Doherty can. Whatever Doherty does, he does pretty well. But uh, and I like him. I don't really have any complaints with the way he's been playing. But I don't know if he's that big an upgrade on Aurier, because Aurier does have his moments. He has moments where he plays like a world class fullback. He's
True.
also got a lot of his bad moments, but on their best day, I think Aurier is a lot better than Doherty is.
That's an interesting point. We'll know after some games. But Doherty is like
Yeah,
jack of all trades, and he seems decent at everything, not
yeah,
exceptional.
he's like Chadley was for us, but he plays
Yeah.
fullback. Chadley used to do everything, and he would do everything acceptably well. he
Hmm.
he wasn't bad at like anything. He would give us goals. He would also he would also set people up decently. So he's like a Chadley at the back. Like, you can't really complain, but you won't be like, oh my god, Doherty did something incredible.
Yeah, it's not a great thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he won't feel that way. But I've had a couple of those moments, at least with Aurier. He scored some wonderful goals for us.
That's true.
True, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Against United, especially recently. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And to
Interesting.
top it all off, I think even Lloris's performance. What do you guys think? Plus,
I thought he was good. I mean, he's kept a clean sheet. He's made a couple of crucial saves. But you do come to expect that out of Lloris, barring the few errors that he does tend to commit.
mhm.
The quality's always been there. So I'm just happy he kept us, in the game for so long, and we managed to get a win.
I think there was one particular error which looked really scary, like at the moment. I think one shot which was like just wide off post, and there was no reaction at all from Lloris. I think that
I
was
don't
the
recall. I don't recall. But then again, I think my attention span was dwindling when nothing was happening in between.
yeah,
That's probably why I don't recall this. But yeah, I'm just happy we were able to keep the clean sheet, dude.
yeah.
And a lot of the credit goes to Loris as well.
That's true. That's true. What about you, Pratik?
Yeah, this is the shot which I told when they hit the post, Palash. So
Yeah.
this is the one. And I think what happened for this shot was that he was somehow blinded by the players in front of him and he couldn't see the ball. But like apart from this, if you look at I don't know how, but Loris has somehow transformed himself, post the lockdown. I was a big critic of him earlier when he was injured and he was out of form and Gazaniga was in his place. And I I remember, Loris was like Walker. Okay, he always had some error or some fuck up at times, but
Mhm.
thankfully somehow miraculously he has removed that. At times when you're expecting keepers to slack off. So he's done very well. I'm actually surprised and pleased that he's not making those errors, and hopefully long may it continue. And he's on top of his game right now. I mean, he can easily say that he's better than David De Gea and all, because these guys are making errors and Loris has become error free. So
Yeah, I mean, touch wood, fingers crossed. I hope he keeps up this form for the rest of the season. But
Yeah.
tell me honestly, what do you guys think about our title chances? I've seen a lot of analysts talking about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that we're like real contenders, but what do you guys think?
On a personal note, I think I mean, the way the analysts are actually looking at it are based off of figures that they've taken from before.
Right.
But on a general consensus, it's not gonna be 100% chance that we are gonna be maintaining those figures. It's even now, even in our current season, also the first match we played. I mean, when we expected so much, we ended up losing it 1-0. And there were other matches like the Newcastle match also, which was not even we expected a huge thing about it at that point of time as well, because we had gotten all these players, and the whole dynamic of the team should have changed because of that. But during these particular matches, it was like the point that Mourinho made is that no matter what, even if we try to play our normal game, there are some fuck ups that are there that needs to be fixed. So these are the things that they need to completely abolish or whatever, in order to get that the real chance of getting a title this season. But apart from that, I don't really know. You can't really say what do you say compulsorily that we will win the league at this point of time. So that's my point.
hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's yeah, I understand what you're saying. Where I was coming from is, do you think we will be somewhere close to the top come 36, 35 games in? Something like, how long was, I think it was about 3 seasons ago, right? When we were like serious contenders. We almost got there, but somehow Chelsea finished with 98 points or something like that. It was 3 seasons
Yeah,
ago, right? Yeah. So do you think that is something that is possible? That was where I was coming from. But yeah, what you said does make sense. Also, I also think it's a little early to say. But yeah, it's a general question I was throwing out there.
I
Hmm.
mean, top four spot is actually possible if you're thinking of it in that way. But I'm still telling that it's too early to say.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Nice.
What about you, Pratik?
Yeah, like if you look at this pundits and all, okay, these guys are changing their views every week. Like this Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher and all this Paul Merson, these guys didn't even have us in their top four. Okay, then we starting putting in good performance. They're like, okay, they can be in top four, and now suddenly we are sitting in second spot, going ahead of international break. So they're like, okay, probably these guys can even win it. So these guys are changing their words week to week. What I feel is we'll know it very well after the next few games, because apart from United, who were a complete shamble, and Everton, who somehow had a purple patch, we haven't faced a very strong team. So I think next after by December, I'll have a clear idea where we are going to end up, because unlike past seasons, we have squad depth, and I'm confident about the depth. Like even if we have some injuries, I'm confident that we can somehow survive and pick up points, which wasn't the case earlier. So, and at least in terms of injuries, I'm not very afraid. But in terms of our competition and even COVID, that is one big factor. You don't know
Yeah,
when some players will go missing, or probably the league goes missing. Who knows? So these things are more scary to me, than other things. But it's possible. We'll know in December.
that's that. Yeah.
one last thing, to correct you, Prithvi, this Regulon never got substituted. It was Sissoko and Bale and Domble who got substituted. But like one interesting thing which I thought is, you were right that Vinicius and Kane, playing together probably got us the goal. Do you guys think that even Bale can probably play as a striker alongside Kane, because that's where he got the heading winner from, against Brighton. So that's one interesting thing which I feel
Yeah,
Jose
I
should
think
explore.
I believe he can play striker. We've seen him play in that role for Real Madrid multiple times, right? And he's got the capability to play striker. I don't see a problem as to why Mourinho wouldn't consider playing him and playing him there. But he's also very strong playing as a second striker. So he's got so Mourinho's got a lot of options at least in the front. Defense, I'm not sold on the defense yet, but in the front, once I feel like once all the players are set, they accept their roles, they know what's expected of them. I think we'll be really good there. And I think Bale playing striker, I would have no problems with it, to be honest.
Well, it's still too early to say. So yeah, either way is right. So let's just see. Anyways, I think apart from that, the most I think influential person has been Mourinho. Obviously, he's the one guy who's been, you know, setting certain standards for us which have not been there before. So, do you think that this is a positive note for us?
Yes. This guy, Jose has, winning experience, which we have never. Yes, he's easily the best caliber manager I have ever seen for us. And I think even like all the fans who have been watching us from 20, 30 years would probably attest that he's probably the most successful manager we have ever got. So he's coming from a winning experience, and that matters. That's a very important factor. So yes, you are right. He's setting up, winning standards.
That's right. And what about you, Palash?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the guy has won the Champions League with Porto and Inter Milan, so you can't really doubt his resume or his capabilities. There's obviously been certain incidents in the past where people have, told things like he's washed or they've written him off, but I think he still got it. Um, I think he can do a lot of good with our squad, and I am very hopeful. For the first time in a long time, I'm very hopeful that this we will bring something back at the end of the season.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the end of today's episode of Being Spursy. We'll be coming up with the new episode after the international break. Thank you very much.